Welcome to Namta Makers. In this video, an ambitious project begins to rescue a neglected 1969 Lincoln Continental Mark III from decades of decay. After securing the massive classic vehicle onto a heavy-duty trailer, the long journey back to the workshop officially kicks off the exciting revival process. Strong straps are carefully tightened around the rusty undercarriage to ensure the precious cargo remains completely safe while traveling down the busy highway. Opening the hood exposes a filthy engine bay covered in debris, including a dried animal nest sitting right on top of the intricate metal components. A powerful shop vacuum quickly sucks up years of accumulated dirt, dead leaves, and thick cobwebs from around the complex carburetor and intake manifold area. Inserting the high-pressure wand directly into the filler neck forcefully, violently ejects chunks of rust and decades of horrible buildup right onto the driveway. Taking advantage of the equipment, the mechanic thoroughly washes the filthy undercarriage to remove endless layers of dirt, grease, and road grime from the chassis. Spraying water directly into the chrome exhaust tips flushes out mud and debris, restoring a cleaner look to the classic car's impressive rear bumper. While cleaning the exterior of the gas tank, a tiny rust hole is discovered, which must be aggressively ground down to bare metal for patching. Back at the garage, a functioning replacement wheel is securely bolted onto the front hub, ensuring the classic car can safely roll on the pavement. Tapping the tiny lead balancing weights onto the wheel rim prevents annoying vibrations, smoothing out the ride for whenever the vehicle hits cruising speeds again. Shifting into gear, the beautifully revived Lincoln Continental smoothly pulls out onto the main road, proving that all the hard work was completely worth it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to this creator's channel to see more incredible restoration projects from him. We'll leave the link in the description of this video.